Let me welcome you to my channel. Before we begin the video, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and like this post. The reliance on alumni. Some people are taking notice of Jeremy and Jinger Duggar Vuolo after their most recent podcast. The expectant parents-to-be have been meticulously recording their third child's development. They bring up the arranged marriage that may have been going on in the family and the IBLP for years, however. So it sounds like they're trying to liven things up. To see their conversation, continue reading. In a recent interview, Jinger expressed her anticipation for the publication of her new book. A new book by the former Counting on Star, titled People Pleaser, Breaking Free from the Burden of Imaginary Expectations, will detail her journey away from conforming to the expectations of those around her. Jinger claims that her most recent work is completely different from her previous works. After implying that the book will center on her childhood hardships, she went on to say that she reached a point when her efforts seemed insufficient. "I would never intentionally upset anyone, even within my own family," Jinger concluded. "I just want to maintain constant happiness for everyone around me." Another new podcast from the Duggar family has Jeremy and Jinger discussing the likelihood that they were in arranged marriage. Jeremy claims that he often questions if courting entails some kind of prearranged marriage. Jinger started to elaborate on the courting rituals seen in her former religion after stating that it was a reasonable inquiry. According to the former Counting on Star, there's a scenario where the parents are being completely unreasonable since they never allow their children meet one another. Jinger elaborated by saying that the couple's parents are already arranging for them to get married, but that they are forbidden from seeing each other due to a regulation. And according to Jinger, the crux of the matter is that arranged marriage takes place when the couples are in their 30s, when they are legally adults and can make their own choices. It seems, however, that the IBLP does not operate in such a manner. Their inability to think independently is something that Jinger elaborated on further. Stunning images of Jinger Duggar Vuolo's growing baby belly have also been making the rounds on social media. Also relieved that her pregnancy is developing okay is the former Counting on Star. Still, she has been clean about her history of refusing to take medication just to avoid an early release from the hospital. Jinger claims that she became quite ill after taking a dosage of an unknown medication on her way home. "I was going to suggest a hard drug, but they gave her something serious instead." What a disaster. The Counting on couple Jinger Duggar and Jeremy Vuolo have answered many questions about their marriage, religion, and personal decisions in open and honest interviews and online writings. But new rumors about their romance have had everyone talking, so the pair has spoken out directly about the rumors. They have graciously and honestly addressed the notions that their marriage was arranged and presented their own story of love, freedom of choice, and the wonder of their union. Traditional cultural customs and rigid family structures are often linked with the idea of arranged weddings, in which parents or elders choose spouses for their offspring. Jinger and Jeremy's relationship was never about external control, despite the fact that the Duggar family's unconventional dating standards have always been a point of fascination. These norms include parental oversight, chaperone dates, and reserving sexual intimacy until marriage. Jeremy and Jinger discussed the rumors on a recent episode of their podcast, The Hope We Hold. "We've heard the term arranged marriage being thrown around a lot lately," said Jeremy. "It is critical to clarify the situation. No one can prove that our marriage was prearranged. We have a love tale that begins with mutual interest and ends with love. Our courting was deliberate, certainly, but it was due to our own choices," Jinger emphasized. "Nothing was imposed on us. We prayed, sought advice from wise friends and family, and followed the road we thought God was directing Jeremy and me on as we got to know one another." Those who know their tale will remember that Jinger and Jeremy's bond was based on their mutual devotion to God, their friendship, and their shared ideals. They crossed paths on a Central American mission trip via Ben Seewald, who was married to Jinger. Jeremy, a preacher and former professional football player, had an immediate affinity with Jinger due to her genuine kindness and strong beliefs. "From the moment we met, I was struck by her kindness and her love for the Lord," said Jeremy. A true bond developed organically as time went on. It seemed more like a natural progression of events than anything else. There was no outside interference. Prolonged discussions on religion, life, and future aspirations characterized their first encounters. Jeremy respected Jinger's family's principles by talking to Jim Bob Duggar, Jinger's father, when he showed interest in developing a relationship. However, Jeremy and Jinger were the ones who ultimately decided to proceed. "My dad never gave me advice on who to marry," Jinger said. "He urged us to pray, seek knowledge, and follow God's will. As soon as I met Jeremy, I knew he was the one I would spend the rest of my life with. It was about doing what I felt was right and what God wanted me to do, not what other people wanted me to do." The way the Duggar family handled courting is one of the myths that keeps the arranged marriage story going. In contrast to casual dating, courting places an emphasis on responsibility, parental participation, and the couple's stated desire to get married. Contrary to what some have said, Jinger and Jeremy see this process as inclusive and welcoming. "Courtship isn't about losing freedom, it's about gaining wisdom," said Jeremy. "It's a method to safeguard your emotions and make sure you're in a relationship for the right reasons." It was a boon to us. Even though we were surrounded by kind others who want what was best for us, we ultimately made all of our own judgments. People think courting is this stiff, depressing process, but it was very exciting and full of pleasure for us, Jinger said, reflecting on the misunderstandings. "We were getting to know one another, developing as a unit, and planning for what the future held. That time of life was just lovely." The Vuolos have never been ambiguous about their marriage's foundation, a union of love and respect. Rather from being a predetermined arrangement, their partnership is a product of their mutual goals, principles, and free will. "Marriage is about choosing each other every single day," stated Jinger. "It's about committing to one another, getting old with one another, and creating a life together. It must originate inside you. No one can make such arrangements on your behalf. Our relationship is ours, but we're thankful for the advice our loved ones gave us," Jeremy continued. "Our marriage is solid because we have weathered storms, celebrated victories, and shared in every emotion in between. Misunderstandings are inevitable given the amount of attention Jinger and Jeremy get from the public. But they promise to be honest and forthright about all that has happened to them. Not everyone has to be convinced," Jeremy pointed out. "But we do want to be honest about who we are and what our relationship is built on." Thanks to their openness and readiness to discuss their successes and failures, they have gained the respect of their supporters. "The more we share, the more we realize that so many people have questions about faith, relationships, and life," said Jinger. "We hope that by being authentic, we can encourage others to think deeply and live intentionally." Jeremy and Jinger are steadfast in their devotion to God and their family as they raise their two young girls. They keep giving people a peek into their life via various ventures and social media. Their adventure is only starting, it has a long way to go. "Every relationship is a journey," Jeremy said. "There have been many lovely surprises and unexpected blessings in ours. Each milestone has been appreciated, and we look forward to what the future holds." Jinger and Jeremy Vuolo's love story is a beautiful monument to the power of deliberate connections and a life founded on faith and mutual respect. It is a narrative of choice, trust, and shared vision.